put on our dear teacher, our Ustad. Welcome back.
Thank
We
you.
are now looking forward for our second lesson for this evening, which is Islamic Plan for Life. And again, as is the right way to do, I encourage each one of you to recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma
اللهم
salli
صل
ala
على
Muhammad.
محمد وآل محمد
Ahsan.
عجل فرجهم.
Thank you.
Bismillah, Shaykhna.
Thank you very much.
And I will put you, I put you on mute. I will unmute you. Bismillah.
Thank you very much. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Today, inshallah, we are going to discuss the last part of first section of the book. As you remember, the first section of Islamic Plan for Life is about personal values. And we have already talked, alhamdulillah, about different subjects. The last one was on sincerity or ikhlas. And today we are talking about being organized and punctual. I remember when we were designing this book, I said we must put this inside a book on Islamic Plan for Life, and Islamic ethics is the first part, because this is a very important aspect of Islamic teachings about how we should live, what should be our lifestyle. But unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't receive enough attention. And maybe people actually are surprised that, why we are talking about this here. But I think this is very fundamental issue, and our success in dunya and akhirah depends on being hardworking, organized, punctual, and plan. Even we have in hadith that if someone in his worldly affairs is lazy, then with respect to akhirah also he would be lazy. Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, in his very famous advice towards the end of his life, he said that I advise you بتقوى الله ونظم أمركم. Taqwa, of course, is very obvious. But Imam brings Nazm Amrakum next to Taqwa. Because if we don't have organized life, if we are not punctual, we cannot achieve Taqwa. And if we achieve Taqwa, we cannot maintain it. Taqwa needs a nazm. There are lots of opportunities that we may miss if we are not organized. Suppose if there's a community, Imam of Masjid is not organized, or the caretaker is not organized, or cleaner is not organized, or people who come for Salat are not organized. Just Salatul Jama'ah cannot take place, or would be delayed, then people time would be wasted, or some people end up not coming. If there is a lecture, the lecturer doesn't come, or students or audience. if the bills are not paid in time, there is no electricity, there is no heating, or if the, I don't know, rubbish is not, removed. Lots of things. If there is a school without organization, if there is a business without organization, if there is a family who are not organized in when to sleep, when to work, when to eat, when to, I don't know, travel, many problems happen with their health, with their education, with their family, social relations, etc. So it's very important to be organized, as we say, munazzam, to have nazm, to be orderly. So the book starts with an example. He says, suppose there is a bank that every day gives you 86,400 pieces of diamond, small pieces of diamond, 86,400, and says you can use it within 24 hours. If you don't use it, you will collect them back. So if you are careful, you should try to plan in the way that you use them as much as possible in the best efficient way, the most efficient way. Otherwise, these diamonds will be taken back. This is example of our life. Every day we have 24 hours. 24 hours, and each hour is 60 minutes, and every minute is 60 seconds. So altogether, 86,400 seconds. Each second is like a diamond, and we have to benefit from it. It's going to be taken back. In a hadith which I have quoted in self-development, it says, الليل والنهار يعملان فيك فاعمل فيهما. Day and night constantly affect you. They are working in you. They are consuming you. You must also utilize them. So our time is not unlimited. Our time is very limited. How much time we have? Even those who are living, for 60, 70, 80 years, rarely 90 years, it's very little compared to unexpected deaths that are now very common. Even people, in 20s, 30s, 40s die. So we have to really appreciate every second of our life. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, in his letter to Malik Ashtar, has many points. One point that he highlights in that letter when he appointed him as governor of Egypt is about timing, proper timing. He says, if something still is not prepared, if the time for doing something has not yet come, don't rush. Al-ajala means rushing without making sure that it's the right time and right manner. It's not good. It's actually, in some text says it's from shaitan. Al-ajala. You have to take your time. But when the time has come, don't delay. Don't postpone. This is also wrong. Not to rush and not to delay. Just try to see what's the proper timing, what's the suitable time, and do it. If the suitable time, do it quickly, because opportunities may disappear. Al-furasu tamurru marra sahab, like clouds, they pass by. فاغتنموا الفرص فإنها تمر مر السحاب. Utilize opportunities, grab them because they pass like clouds. So Amir al-Mu'minin said to Malik Ashtar, don't rush when the time has not yet come, and don't be lazy and delay when it's the time. And also, when something is unclear and ambiguous, don't insist. Don't be stubborn on doing something that you are not sure about. You are not clear about it. But when something is clear, then don't be lazy. Do everything in its own time, in its own place, and in a proper time. Also, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam said that life can continue with planning properly, and the key to that is good management. Good tadbir, good management is the key. So, we have a heading here after this introductory point about what are some of the rules and guidelines that we have to observe in planning according to our hadith. Planning and being orderly are very much connected. Nazm and tadbir are very much connected. But Nazm is more about the current situation. You have to be organized, orderly, but planning is for future. We need both. Sometimes people are very organized but not able to plan for any change, for any improvement. This is not right. So we need both. First, one of the things we learn from our hadith is that we have to divide our day and night. In some hadiths, for example, says to 3 parts, some say 4 parts, but basically the idea is this, and we don't mean equal portion. We don't say that, for example, 8 hours for each or 6 hours for each. No, but the main thing is that you have to make sure that you have all these things. Part of your day should be for your worship, for your ibadah, something that you do for the sake of Allah. Of course, then little by little this should occupy all your day. But initially, ibadah in its narrower sense, which is certain acts of worship, should be part of your day. Your salat, your recitation, your tahajjud. Part of it should be for making a living, halal income. Islam wants us to make our own income and earn our own living. So we have to make it. Part of it is for rest and halal pleasure. You need to sleep, you need to have some halal pleasure, sometimes, walking, going to park, I don't know, maybe watching something nice. And in some hadith is divided to 4. Part of it is for meeting people who are good and can give you knowledge and add to your knowledge, give you good mau'izah and advice. Muhasabatun nafs is also mentioned in some hadith. So you can divide it into 3 or 4, but the main thing is that you should have some time for your ibadah, some time for working and making income, some time for rest and pleasure, and either under your ibadah or as a separate category, something for your progress in your knowledge, in your understanding, in your self-monitoring, muhasabatul nafs, some time for mubahasa, discussion, this type of things. You may say, my time is very limited, I am very busy, I go early morning, I come back late night. First of all, see, is it really necessary that you work that hard? It's good to work, hard, but is it really necessary that you work those many hours? Especially those who have young children, young wife, or if husband and wife, work together and they are very new in their marriage. Is it good that you spend so much time outside home? So when you are spending time with yourself, with your young children, you say, I want to save money so that they can have comfortable life. Okay, your niyyah maybe is good, but your method is not good, because they need you more than money. And in future, if you don't spend enough time with them, you would lose connection with them. You give them money, they take the money, but they're not interested in you anymore. They don't understand you anymore. Please spend good time with your family before it becomes too late. Spend good time between husband and wife before it comes too late that you lose interest and you understand that you can live without each other. So we have to divide our life, and then weekly and then daily. As I said, doesn't mean that you have to have equal portion, doesn't mean that, for example, every day is the same, but throughout the week, you should try to make sure that all these things are done. Maybe some days more, some days less, but you have certainly to do all these things in your schedule, weekly schedule. Number 2 is try to find out what time is better for certain thing. For example, you want to do ibad, okay, half an hour, 1 hour, whatever. Okay, any half an hour, or I should find what time is better for ibad. Awwalul waqt, for example, middle of the night. I should not miss these things. So it's not just enough to allocate this much of time. When? Which part of the day or night? Or you say, okay, every day I have to study. 1 hour I want to study. Okay, when? When you are too tired, when you are, you have eaten and, you are sleepy. Or you have to find what's the time which is good for a study. You want to walk, you can walk in different times. But there is a time that you can only study, not another time. But walking, you can walk maybe any time. When you are hungry or when you are very full, you can walk perhaps. So find out what's the best time overall for each thing that you have to do. Then another thing is also not to rush, as I said, not to delay. We had in a letter to Malik Ashtar, but here also is mentioned here. Also, with your own experience and benefiting from experience of other people and consultation, try to have a plan for yourself. Maybe you can have 5-year plan for yourself. Maybe you can have then 5 year into 5 1-year plan for yourself, and then divide it to 12 months. This is very important. Otherwise, you cannot make big things. If you consider just today and say, okay, let's see what we want to do today. Okay, there's little you can do. Then tomorrow say, what should we do today? But if you say, what I have to do in these 5 years, and then what I have to do this year, and then this month, and then this week, and then this day, it has another dimension, it has another level of planning. To be farsighted, don't just consider your needs today. What are you going to need tomorrow? How much tomorrow you need experience, I don't know how much you need tomorrow money, how much you need contacts, how much you need knowledge, how much you need to understand Islam, how much you need to do some saving of time, money, etc. for what challenges we are going to have in future. I am now young, I can work more on myself. If I become too old, then it's very difficult to change. So to be far-sighted and plan accordingly based on your experience of other people, and consultation. Our hadith says, before embarking on anything, consider end of it. Aqibah. See the end of the things so that you can plan properly and decide properly. Consultation is very important. Unfortunately, some people underestimate parents, and they think, even if I'm going to consult, I'm going to consult someone else because I know my parents, and unfortunately, when someone is always with us and always available for us and don't expect anything, we may underestimate them. If they were not with us or they were, charging us, we may, appreciate more. But I think one of the best people to give you advice are your parents. I'm not saying their advice is always correct, but you cannot ignore and dismiss, because they have brought you up. In many times, they know you better than yourself, and they can give you advice. Take it with respect and think about it. If you are sure that it's not correct, okay, dismiss it. But take it with open heart, with respect. Ask them to advise you. But if between you and Allah you are sure that it's not going to work, okay, you can find a respectful way to act something else. But these are the best sources of advice for you. Then people who are older than you, more experienced than you, hopefully scholars who know you, they can give you good advice. Unfortunately, people normally go to people of their own age and listen to them. I'm not saying to ignore them, but these are not good sources of advice, because how much a teenager can help another teenager in giving them long-term plan, what job you should choose, whom you should marry. Don't ignore your friends, but don't listen to them without checking with many other sources. So mashwara is also very important. We have lots of course things to say about mashwara. Then there is something about self-study, and it's about the late Imam Khomeini, because late Imam Khomeini is very well known for his punctuality, to the extent that in Najaf people used to set their watch with his coming to the shrine. Every day, 3 hours after Maghrib, he was going to Haram. Not 2 hours, 50 minutes, or 3 hours, 10 minutes. Even 1 minute, not later or after. He was very punctual. People who lived with him, they say that it was completely known when he goes to sleep, when he wakes up, when he eats, when he studies, when he does his ibadah, his tahajjud, everything was organized. Even, for example, when food was ready, they call him for food, for example. He says, still 2 minutes are left. Of course, if you want to bring this to your family, be careful, because you have to prepare your family, and you cannot just put responsibility on the family, say, I want to be organized. No. He was a person that he was not asking even his wife to give anything to him, bring him any, even a cup of water. He was trying to do everything as much as possible himself. Of course, family were helping, preparing things, but he was not asking. So there are lots of things that come together as a system. We cannot just take one part of the system, but he was very, very organized. What are some of the signs or characteristics of a good plan? First, the aims and objectives must be clearly defined. It shouldn't be ambiguous, I want to study. Okay. This is too ambiguous. What? How much? Which books? Which subjects? Which, level? Which teachers? All these things should be clarified. Aims, objectives, means, method. And it should be realistic. It should be gradual. You should know how much success you have to make so that you can, examine yourself. Am I making a steady progress or not? It should be comprehensive, not one-sided. It should consider priorities. Priorities should receive more attention. And it should be balanced. You should not forget some needs of yourself or needs of family. And also, it should then be made as much as possible detailed. So you shouldn't waste even few minutes, let alone few hours, let alone few days. So the general plan should be detailed out and broken into even every hour and even portions of hour. There's a story here from Allama Tabatabai rahmatullah alayh. Allama Tabatabai was very hardworking. Even he used to work on the day of Ashura. Then one year he had severe pain in his eyes on the day of Ashura. So he stopped. So 364 days he was working. He was studying and doing different things. Only he stopped Ashura, not to write, not to. He spent about 20 years, and that was after he became ill, on compiling Al-Mizan. And when he was writing Al-Mizan, they noticed that Allama is writing and then later coming back and putting dots. In Arabic, we have sometimes dots above the letter, sometimes under the letter. They asked Allama, why you don't put dots at the same time? Because normally what we do is that, for example, if it's a shin or it's a tha or, ya, we put dots when we are writing each letter. Then we go to the next letter. He said, I calculated that if I write and then come back and put dots, it takes less time and I'm going to save time. Look at how careful they were about their life. It's not by accident that he can, compile something like Al-Mizan. That even if you want to just read it in 20 years, most of people cannot finish reading and understanding. And this man is writing, and this writing comes with lots of thinking, lots of, contemplation, putting verses together. Maybe for something to clarify, he had to think for weeks. He managed to finish. Some of the factors for the success of the program. One, determination. With weak willpower, you cannot succeed. Amir al-Mu'minin says, with determination, fight laziness. Today, actually, I think it's a time that we have to really take care of our willpower. Once in the Hose Akhlaq, I said, in future, I think, and actually right now, it's starting, the battle would be battle of willpower, battle of who is more determined. Money, weapons, I don't know, technology, all these become more or less available. Who is more determined for success? And who is going to give in? Shaitan makes us very weak. Temptations make us very weak. Greediness make us very weak. We need people who are determined, as Amir al-Mu'minin said to Muhammad ibn Hanafi. Tazul al-jibal wala tazul. If mountains move, you should not move. You move when you have good reason. Don't give in because there is pressure. So, determination is very important. If we plan something and then we don't go by our plan and we allow exceptions, and okay, today there's a problem, tomorrow another problem. So, what are we going to do? Discipline is very important. Tahajjud is very good. Tahajjud is a very good way to strengthen your willpower. It's good to get barakah for your whole day. And it gives you energy. Maybe you feel tired physically a little bit till you get used to it, but it gives you lots of energy and you feel, a deep sense of achievement. To be hardworking, it's very important. Ayatollah Muhammad Taqi Amuli, rahmatullah alayhi, who was a teacher of Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh, Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli. After he studied Najaf, he, went back to Tehran, and he was a great alim at the level of Marja'iyya, but he didn't want to occupy the position of Marja'iyya. He was a great alim. He used to say to his talabe, در حد جان کندن باید درس خوان. Means you must study up to the level of almost dying. It's not, something that you say, okay, I study, a few hours and then it's enough. I am tired. No. Look at even people who study in other fields. People who study, sciences, literature, politics, geography. Any person, in order to really succeed, they work day and night. Yes, sometimes they have also their fun, but they are hard-working people. It's not that, they are very relaxed. So especially for us, we need to be hardworking because we want to have the best of dunya and best of akhirah. We need to be hardworking. Asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of prayer and putting your trust in Allah in the form of tawakkul is both of them are very much needed. Also, you have to be flexible, not in your plan, but when it comes to details and things that happen. Because if you are too rigid and too strict, then your plan can break or people can break you. So you have to understand where to be flexible so that you can maintain your principles. This is what I called in some lectures, principled flexibility. Principled flexibility. Like water that accepts to go to any container and take the shape of that container, but remains water and actually doesn't lose anything. But if you are a piece of wood, if you don't go to the container, they cut you. So some flexibility in details, in things which are not affecting your plan, in principles, is needed. About food, try to be flexible. If something is healthy and halal, if my food must be like this, I don't know, my bed must be like this, I know my car must be like this, I travel only in this way, you know, you make life difficult for you. Then you have to compromise about more important things. Then monitoring and evaluation is very important. No plan without monitoring and bringing into question can work. So if it's your plan, you have to question yourself and you have to monitor yourself. If you are doing well, thank Allah, and maybe you can give a good treatment to yourself. But if you are not doing well, you have to blame yourself and discipline yourself. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we finished this discussion, and in this way we have finished the first section of the book, which is about personal virtues, and inshallah from next session we will go to social virtues and values in Islamic ethics. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ajil faraj. I think we have been very spoiled today. If you permit, dear Sheikh, that I read something about when our beloved Imam Khomeini, when he was in Najaf, as you said, actually even the police, they said that they knew when to go on istirahat, to go on breaks, because they knew when he will go there and he would be very precise in both entering and exiting. Very amazing examples. Very tough ones today.
Yeah.
Easy to live up to, but it's excellent. I think today people are more in tadabbur and thinking. They have not posed so many questions, but I would like to mention a few things, because the salams of Mu'mineen are great here. We can see that our dear brother Sayyid Muhammad Naqvi is sending special dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, Sheikhna.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and we can also see that brother Imran Sayyid has sent two very nice messages, both salam and dua, as well as
thank you very much. Amin to your duas.
Very, very good. Very good. And I cannot mention all of them. They are very, very nice comments. May Allah bless all the students.
May Allah bless you.
Yeah. Shina, you said something that if we want to change ourselves, and you started touching on specifically about a person needs to be very mindful, be organized, and then you went on to be very daqiq, very specific about the timings. But then in the examples you gave, for example, with Marhum Imam Khomeini rahmatullahi, that he was also a person who didn't just shock his family, rather this was his habiyat, the way he was. You said that we should not maybe just go out and change ourselves directly without any warning. If a household wants to change and become more organized as a family unit, what advice do you have?
Yeah, that would be actually the best thing if the whole family, especially husband and wife, if in harmony and agreement they plan, that would be bringing lots of barakah, and see how, so they can identify the areas that they need to improve, and then they start, for example, say, okay, now we fix these two things, and when they can fix one problem and see the benefit, then would be encouraged to continue. And we should do it with cooperation, not that by blaming each other, say, the reason we are not organized is because of you, or no, we should try to, and if the other person is a little bit lazy or not organized, the other one should do more to help that person to see the value. But if there is harmony in home, I think Allah's support for that home would be a lot. I very much believe in harmony between husband and wife, to the extent that even sometimes when I see, for example, maybe they are not the best, in their iman or whatsoever, but if there is harmony between them, I am hopeful that inshallah through their love and mutual trust, inshallah they get there. But if there is no harmony, even if each of them is very strong moment, but there is no harmony, this conflict and clash little by little will consume their iman. So it's very difficult. I'm not saying 100%, but it's normally the case that in clashes between husband and wife, they will lose some of their achievements.
Very nice, very nice. It's a very good this partnership of man and woman, wife and husband, which you said, and maybe step by step, seeing one
Yeah.
result and continuing. Very, very useful. Alhamdulillah. I think today I have to mention we have seen one of our students who have been from the very first semester with us. Each and every semester, we have our esteemed Khanum Shamim Alidina.
MashaAllah.
She has sent a message. She has sent twice. We see that your enthusiasm. May Allah bless you. And also, I would say that also Khanum Nasim Balji as well from Birmingham. She's giving
MashaAllah.
us
May Allah bless them.
very, very good. And it was a pleasure speaking to you. It's my aunt, in fact, so it was great speaking with her. And may Allah bless her work as well.
Alhamdulillah.
Very, yeah. If I may just take another moment here, do you believe, Sheikhna, that are you a person who believes very much in writing down your schedule? Or do you believe that it should be automatic? Do you believe writing it? And now that we are in 2020, in this decade, do you believe that we should use the digital means of writing up our calendars? What is your advice, inshallah?
I think the main thing is you should find out what way works for you better, based on your habits and nature, character. We want the result. What is going to make you more organized? Is it by writing on a letter, or I don't know, I mean, on a notebook, or using applications, etc. But for sure, what is important is that you should have clear idea of what you want to do, and also a way to register so that later you can go back and see what you have achieved or not achieved. But which means it's up to you. See how it works better for you. In general, if everything is being equal, and if you don't say it's because of my generation, I see value in writing with hand. But I'm not saying this is necessarily the case, but I think when you write something with your hand, there is a special connection, and it brings more attention.
Very nice. Very interesting. Very interesting. Because I don't
Maybe
see...
maybe this ayah nun wal qalam wama yasturun, also maybe it refers to this, that when the pen is making these sutur, these lines,
Very nice. Very nice example.
And Allah also said to Shaitan, why you did not do sajda lama khalaqtu biyadayya? He didn't say, I pressed the button and created Adam. Said I created with my hands, although he doesn't have hands, but I think hands are very important. Yadullah fawqa aydihim.
MashaAllah. That's the Darjuma Darda.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. May Allah bless you.
I noticed if I don't see more questions per se, so I think that hope that the students don't blame me that I ask a few more questions, if it's okay, inshallah, with your permission.
You're welcome.
You know, Chena, a few semesters ago, you spoke about that you, because it's on the same theme, you said about using the pen, yeah?
Yeah.
You said there's a difference of reading the Quran with the real book,
Mus'haf.
yeah, something, rather than maybe just using this Gushi and telephone or other. You didn't say this is bad, but you
Yeah.
said one. And now you spoke about using the old-fashioned, the pen itself. What is the philosophy? I maybe have mixed two things, but what are your philosophies?
Uh, it's good to use Quran on your mobile or computer when you don't have access to the real Quran, Mus'haf. But I think when something is written on paper or printed, there is permanence. Means these papers are dedicated to the words of God and are not going to be used for other things. Is like, for example, when you have a place at home which is musalla, it's dedicated. This dedication is very important compared to something that can be used for different purposes. So I think one aspect of looking at mushaf might be better. I'm not saying 100%, but this is my understanding. Is that because these are permanent and these are dedicated and forever, whether you are there or not, these only show Quran. It's different from a glass that every time shows something. There is no dedication. So it's good to see on mobile or laptop when it's better than nothing, but it's not equal, I think, to reading Quran from your own mushaf that every day you read. It's, I think, different.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much for that.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much.
I have a surprise for you.
Bismillah.
And I say this as a habit that we always have before travel. So tomorrow morning, inshallah, I'm going to Stockholm.
MashaAllah.
I met the first time Brother Arif in Stockholm, of course. So inshallah, tomorrow I'm going there for a few majalis of end of Safar. So I ask you and everyone to pray that inshallah it would be a blessed trip, inshallah, bi'iznillah. I very much count on du'as of people here.
Very good. Whenever you ask us, we are always happy. We raise our hands and we pray, inshallah, for your success and
Thank
your
you.
tabligh.
Thank you very much. Thank you. May Allah bless you.
The benefit of everyone, whenever Sheikhna has visited places, actually the fragrance stays for a very long time. Very, very. And yes, it's true that for the first time we met, and I in fact didn't know that this is Sheikh Shomali. And I remember that day, I had read your book and self-building, for example, but I did not connect that this is the same person with this, and very, very interesting. I can just say that we were at a conference and everyone was very much touched. So people who are our own belief and people of other belief. And that was something which was very, very great.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
I think we should, inshallah, end here. But I would like specifically that we know that there are many people who have been suffering through this imtihan or bala or